All right, we're going to wait just another minute until kind of get started, and then we'll do the introductions. Thank you all for joining us for planning for cultural tourism, a great topic, and we have members of the Akwesasne Nation with us who are doing a wonderful job at planning for cultural tourism. So there's going to be a lot of great information as we go through. We're basically going to hold questions until the end. Everyone will stay on the line for the entire webinar, so we'll just get through the presentations first and then do the questions at the end. All right, well, I'm going to get started. I know some people will still be coming in. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association's webinar series. Today's webinar is Planning for Cultural Tourism. Let's see. Ayanta, for those of you not familiar with Ayanta, we are, our mission is to define, introduce, grow, and to sustain American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian tourism that honors values and traditions. We provide technical assistance and training to tribal nations and Native-owned enterprises engaged in tourism, hospitality, and recreation. Among our educational offerings, we have this year's American Indian Tourism Conference, celebrating its 23rd year. Will take place in person at the Wekapa Casino Resort on the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation in Scottsdale, Arizona, scheduled for October 25th through the 28th. So we hope to see you all there. It is not too late to register. This year's theme is Reimagine, Reemerge, Reunite, Stronger Together in Indian Country. Earlier this year, Ayanta also rolled out an interactive new town hall series hosted by our Ayanta board president, Emerson Bayo, and our CEO, Sheriel Rupert. The next town hall meeting showcases Ayanta's tourism marketing initiatives for 2022 and beyond. So join us this Wednesday, September 29th at 1:00 p.m. Mountain Time. Very excited to have you there. That's a very interactive series, so we welcome and encourage your feedback on our programming and what you'd also like to see for future programming. During the session, we're going to unveil some of the new partnerships. Our existing partnerships, of course, we're working with the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail, the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail, and the Native American Agriculture Fund. We'll also be celebrating 250 and more years of Native American history in partnership with America 250 Partnership. Additionally, we'll introduce more details about our collaboration with the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. I know a lot of our partners are working on outdoor recreation, so we'll be introducing that partnership. I think that's going to be very interesting for everyone. And this organization strives to minimize travelers' impacts on the destinations they visit. So we look forward to seeing you all at the town hall on Wednesday. We also continue to team up with other industry and federal partners to provide a series of webinars on resource development opportunities and other tourism-related topics. Most webinars are designed to provide information on challenges and obstacles facing the tourism industry, although many also serve as inspiration by showcasing successes in tribal tourism, like today's on cultural planning, planning for cultural tourism, sorry. You can learn about all our educational offerings by visiting our website at ayanta.org or visit ayanta.org/AITC for more information and registering for our conference. All right, as I mentioned, feel free to put your, we will hold the Q&A till the end, but feel free to put your questions in the Q&A or chat box as we go along, and we will get to the questions once we're done with the speaking. I'm going to introduce today's speakers. We have a great panel. First, Raeanne Adams, St. Regis Mohawk Tribe. She's the community planner for the tribe for the Office of Economic Development. Raeanne Adams is the community planner for the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe's Office of Economic Development and the project director of administration for Native Americans, Seeds, Sustainable Employment and Economic Development Strategies, creating Akwesasne Tourism Industry Business and Jobs Project. Prior to joining the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe and Cultural Tourism team, she served as a dynamic marketing manager specializing in database analytics and direct marketing campaigns for the Akwesasne Mohawk Casino Resort. Raeanne is passionate about creating economic opportunities centered around cultural preservation and revitalization for her community. She has a Bachelor of Business Administration degree from SUNY Canton with a focus in economics. She is from the Akwesasne Mohawk Nation, where she resides with her partner and is raising her 2 young sons. Then we'll hear from Penny Peters. She's the development manager for the Akwesasne Cultural Tourism Initiative. Penny Peters is a strong believer in the word community and has found a passion in being a part of Akwesasne's economic growth. Penny works with the tribe as the Tourism Industry Development Manager on the Cultural Tourism Initiative. We'll also be hearing from Lorna Thomas. She's a cultural educator, artisan, and curator from Akwesasne Mohawk Territory. Her Mohawk name is Gunogwa Hawi, which translates to "she carries her ancestors." She's from a Bear clan and was born and raised in Akwesasne, where she has lived most of her life. She attended the Akwesasne Freedom School, a Mohawk immersion school, whose curriculum is based on their seasonal calendar and their language. She recently graduated from SUNY Potsdam, where she majored in women's and gender studies and minored in museum studies, native studies, and anthropology. She has also been a co-curator at SUNY Potsdam and is currently curating a small exhibition at the Wild Center. Also, we have Michaela Francis, who is also a cultural educator, multimedia specialist, singer, and dancer from the Akwesasne Mohawk Territory. Her Mohawk name is Gulunya Nuha, I'm sorry, I messed that up, which translates to "she protects the skies," and is from the Wolf Clan of Akwesasne. She has worked at the Native North American Traveling College since 2019 as a travel troupe singer, dancer, AV technician, and now cultural educator. And we are also going to hear, last but definitely not least, from Ms. Gail McDonald. She's the project developer for the Akwesasne Heritage Center. Gail works with the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe in cultural tourism, developing the Akwesasne Heritage Center, which is going to include a library, museum, and archives, which we'll talk more about, Akwesasne Art Gallery, and the Skana Park in downtown Akwesasne. She brings years of experience in the fields of health, data governance, survey research, strategic project management, and facility development. Gail has held senior positions serving her home community of Akwesasne and with First Nations organizations. So now that you are bared with me through that, we are going to turn this over to Raeanne Evans.
Hi, Sego. Once again, my name is Raeanne. I'm the community planner for the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe. Monica, could you go to the second slide, please? With me, I have my team, two managers, Gail McDonald and Penny Peters, who are going to go over some of our current project initiatives, but also community development planning to date. And I just want to give you a thanks for joining us today on planning for cultural tourism. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to welcome you to Akwesasne. If you hit play, you can see where we are in right up there in the northeast. We are situated along the international border of US and Canada, on the southern portion in New York State, and the northern portion between Ontario and Quebec, Canada. We also are governed by three distinct governing bodies: the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe, which governs the southern portion, and the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, which governs the northern portion, and our traditional Mohawk government, Mohawk Nation Council of Chiefs. Next slide, please. Here you can see, this is a map of our territory. We are situated along the St. Lawrence River, and we are very unique in that we have the international border that runs through our community. Next slide, please. So we started cultural tourism planning just a little over a decade ago. Since 2008, the Akwesasne community has a vested interest in developing cultural tourism as a way to restore and preserve our cultural heritage and provide positive alternative economic development and community opportunities. Many reports and plans that we have conducted so far, including sharing the Mohawk spirit, or sharing the spirit, sorry, was our first cultural tourism strategy. And that was derived from the Akwesasne Comprehensive Community Development Plan conducted in 2008, which was a comprehensive community engagement project that centered around planning the future of Akwesasne. So we first identified tourism as an economic development and community development opportunity. And since then, it has led to the creation of the Akwesasne Tourism Working Group in 2013. And this involved the several key organizations within Akwesasne that helped develop the Akwesasne Cultural Tourism Strategic Plan, which, let me see here. Which laid the foundation for our ANA Seeds application in 2016. And in 2017, the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe was awarded the Administration for Native American Social and Economic Development Seeds Grant, Creating Akwesasne Tourism Industry and Jobs Project. This grant allowed for dedicated staff to pursue major areas of tourism development, including establishment, of destination marketing and management organization, which includes tour operations, tour development, and tourism infrastructure. So we have three main focuses. So the DMMO, which Penny Peters is leading the charge, and the Tourism Business Incubator, which I do have a team member who is unable to join us, but she's leading that to develop community tourism capacity building, working with our artisans and our local business community, and also community development planning, which includes the Akwesasne Art Park, development of that art park and gallery, and the Future Heritage Complex Center, which Gail McDonald is leading that charge. So I'd just like to introduce you to Penny Peters, who is going to take you into our current planning, where we are today, and what our outlook is for the future of Akwesasne tourism.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And yeah, I'm the Tourism Industry Development Manager. So I was hired on with the grant that we received that Raeanne was talking about. And it's been quite a ride the past few years. We're getting now into some of the really exciting stuff where the tours have been created, and we're getting into fam tours and launching those tours. So it's really exciting. Not to say that the planning isn't, but it just feels like it's so far into the future when you're doing these plans, and then you wake up one day and it's all here. So I was hired on 5 years ago and completely new to tourism. I did not have much background at all. So it's been quite the learning curve. I know quite a bit of the lingo now, and thankfully within our grant, it was fairly heavy in consulting dollars because we didn't have the background. So we were able to hire on help, put out RFPs, get different companies interested, and finding the right fit with us to help create these plans and learn as well along the way. So the first plan that we attacked, and again, these were all laid out within our grant. The majority of them were supposed to be done within the first year. And so we learned as we went along. You know, feel free to contact me if you're planning on taking this route or doing some of these plans as to which order. I think looking back now, I would have taken different plans at different times, knowing when they'd be more important and have a little more input on them. So the first plan that we went after was the Akwesasne Tourism Interpretive Plan. It was great to start with that one. We had consultants come in and assist us with that. And they, so what we did with the interpretive plan is we sort of took them on a tour of Akwesasne, what we had, what our stakeholders were, introduced them to different people and places. And from that, they were kind of able to imagine what an Akwesasne tour would be like, what people may want to see based on, you know, somebody coming from the outside in. and wanting to learn so much about Akwesasne. At the start, I'd sit here and think, what do we have? And it'd kind of be hard. And then once you get the ball rolling, we had so much, and you start thinking about, well, what's more important to show people? What order do we show people? How do we develop these, and how do we get interest? So the interpretive plan did that for us. It was very helpful to kind of have someone come in and help us imagine this big picture and kind of put it into a plan. At the same time, we also had an Akwesasne historical research report. That report was, we were very fortunate to have a few local historians, and we were able to hire someone from Akwesasne to do our historical research report. It was a great document to have in the beginning because it helped us to look at what was important, what should we be sharing. We also looked at this report as something we would provide to our future tour guides, so that they would have these short little one-pagers on different subjects within Akwesasne that they could kind of read over and learn and have some of the facts and dates with it. So that one's a little gem that we have. We don't share the historical research report publicly. It's more of an internal document. And that was one of the difficult things when we started doing this, was what do we share and what don't we share? And for the most part, anything that we wanted to put into print, we were very weary of. So if there was something that was a hard no, that we did not want to share, then we decided that we should not put that into any type of print or document, so that it doesn't get out there. So the historical research report, we try to keep internal. If it does get out there, that's, there's nothing crazy in there. It's just kind of, we want you to come here and learn that from our guides and not so much from a booklet. The Akwesasne marketing strategy and action plan gave us, how are we going to market this? How are we going to take those steps forward? It helped us to start laying out our brand and our guidelines. So on one hand, it was great to be having happen at the same time as our brand and guidelines, because it sort of covered a lot of the same territory. But now I also feel like we kind of need to step back and take a look at that marketing strategy again, as over the years, things have shifted, things have changed to better fit Akwesasne travel and where we were going with all of that. So, it's something I think when you're looking into branding and guidelines that you should be thinking about marketing and a strategy and an action plan for that moving forward, but sort of at a higher level, so that you can, once you're getting more established, go back and sort of take a look at that. And a lot of these documents are what we call living. So we do revisit them. We are making changes as we go along, looking at what worked and what didn't work. And so our brand, our guidelines, that was probably one of the funnest documents and work that we had. We are based on art and artisans was what came out of this, that we have a lot of art and artisans that are very key in carrying on traditions and so forth. So we were able to hire one of those local artisans on, and she sat in a lot of these meetings, a lot of these strategizing and looking at, what should represent us. And from there, we came up with our brand book and our logo, which you could see at the beginning and throughout some of these pages, which is representative of a little, we call him little dude, but he's a little guy, and he's kind of speaking and welcoming people to Akwesasne. So that's his. We have great debates here. We love our working group. We love our rooms full of people to have these great debates. We had two logos at the start, and it was pretty much 50-50 down the road as to which one we would go with. The other one is our river, representative glyph. We call them glyphs of our river. And so that's always very representative of Akwesasne, which, by the way, Akwesasne means land where the partridge drums in our language. And so we have another little glyph of the partridge. You'll see him throughout the presentation. And those were, so these little glyphs, like you can see the stars on this picture, they're just little symbols that we can use within our marketing just to kind of spice it up a little, things that are unique to us. They sort of, in a way represent some of the older stone drawings and things. And so we were really, really fortunate to have that going through colors. And on top of that, you know, what is our mission? What's the feel that we want to put out there? What do we want people to recognize Akwesasne for? DMMO business plan, so the Destination Marketing and Management Organization, which we just had a meeting right before this one. So 2019, we completed that plan. We are redoing that plan. We are, well, not redoing it, but revamping that plan based on changes that have been made, organizations involved, employee turnover, all of those things have impacted it enough to take a very good relook at that plan and how we want to move forward with it. Obviously, COVID, you know, hit right after that plan was completed and completely changed tourism in the eyes of the world, let alone how it affected us here in Akwesasne. And so that plan is our business side of it. That is Akwesasne Travel. What is Akwesasne Travel going to be in the future? How do we operate this? Eventually, our plan is to break off from our government and to be our own entity, which is one of the easier paths when you're an international company. So, you know, it's a little bit difficult to represent the Canadian side when we're based on the US side. And so those are a lot of the challenges that we have been facing and where the DMMO is headed. Originally, it was just going to be a marketing organization that would represent Akwesasne. In the past few years, we have been able to, we have shifted into actually selling our tours as well. So that kind of complicated as well as simplified a few things. The Akwesasne Tourism Infrastructure Development Plan was another plan we took on. So that laid out, you know, where are our main corridors? Where do we want to start implementing things? Signage, what's missing here? Simple things such as public washrooms. Where do you want people going? Where do you not want people going? It laid a lot of that out. It assisted us a lot with Gail's work that you'll see in the infrastructure plan. And, you know, what are important things that are missing here? What's existing, but, you know, needs some revamping or needs eyes looked at it that tourists would expect when they come to the community. And so that plan laid a lot of that out for us. It's also been used, a lot of these plans have been used by different departments within our organization, but the infrastructure development plan was used by our planning and infrastructure within the tribe as well to develop other plans and go after grants. So it assisted with that as well, as a lot of these plans do within, not just within the tribe, but within other organizations. Group tour programming and design. So this is not necessarily a plan, but a step within developing all of this that we are going through right now. And so it included the training for our clients, our suppliers, and, you know, it's helping me in the sense of how do I market this to tour operators? How do I understand that whole other, we've been shown over the past 4 years, this web of what tourism is and how this web exists. And it's very scary when you see it the first time with all the different people involved and all the different avenues of selling a tour. And so this programming and design has really helped me to understand that. It has helped us to understand what route we want to take in terms of marketing and selling these. Again, it's taken a turn with COVID. We've had to look more now regionally, whereas originally, you know, internationally was one of our main markets. And right now we're shifting a little bit into regional tourism and going after groups and organizations around us and trying to get them to come and visit. And then right now we're also heading into the end of October, testing ourselves out with our first FAM tour. We're bringing in, again, for that one right now, regional people just due to COVID. We've had to have 2 here in Akwesasne simply because the US-Canadian border is not fully open for travel both ways. So we've divided it up to have a FAM tour on the Canadian portion. And with that, we've been able to partner with a local community And so, you know, it's not just a half a day visit to us or a 1 day visit to us. It can be an overnight where they spend some time in the local region and then come and experience Aqua travel. So the partnerships and so forth that we're making now are really key into how we're moving forward. And then trade shows is something that we are just starting to get into. What trade shows are going to be beneficial for us? Which ones do you want to attend? You know, the costs of all of this is expensive. How to partner with people to help share those costs. Ayanta is great for both of those. And I think we're going to be working with them very closely in the future for fam tours and trade shows and learning more about all of that. Next slide, please. So that was mostly my role in the further planning slide. And this role, the supplier development, is Latoya Rourke, who isn't with us today. She's actually off on maternity leave. And so that was her role within all of this, was developing the suppliers, developing the tours themselves, and assisting in all of that. And so we had the introduction to Aqua travel and experiential travel. So you heard us toss around the Aqua Tourism Working Group, key organizations within all of Aqua. They were key in helping us build this, get this together. And then some of them were suppliers, like you'll meet the Native North American Traveling College, who was a part of the working group, and as well as becoming a supplier for us. And so we went around, we had these people in, we talked about our plans and what we'd be doing moving forward, and then selecting from there who would be going into our training. We had a 10-week product development training, webinars and one-on-one mentorship training. And how this worked out, again, it went into 10 weeks simply because of COVID. Originally, we were planning a full week-long 40-hour training session for this, and bringing consultants in to help assist us, whoever we needed to help train and develop these tours. So when you go to our website, you'll see the 3 tours that we've developed. They would have been in a classroom for an entire week, getting all of this together. And at the end of it, having a tour that was ready to go and ready to start testing. With COVID, that turned into a 10-week online training session. So what we did was we had a webinar on 1 week, and then the week after would be one-on-one sessions with Latoya, with our mentorship. So, and as well, we used SUNY Canton's SIBC, which is a small business incubator program. I know I'm going to mess that one up, but we were able to get assistance from them with business background and setting all of that, all of those things up. So she was on the mentorship programs as well. If they needed more than one session, we did more than one session. They basically had homework after each week of training, and that helped them at the end of it to have this tour that was up and ready to go. And then from there, we did test runs. So we had some local people come in. We went to some regional people coming in and testing the tours out, and people we trusted so that we could get feedback from them, what could be improved, what was good, what was working. And it gave our tour suppliers some practice on these tours. And we'll now be testing them with fam tours. So another step up and going to from the test run to the fam tour and bringing in people who can help market us. We're looking at influencers, whether it's socially, media, and then a few tour operators to show the product and what we have here in Akwesasne, as well as on the Canadian side, we'll be showcasing some regional things. Virtual training was something that we did not plan for, but with COVID, with everybody being, you know, like this, working from home and on a computer, and seeing the uprise in virtual tours. And so we thought, let's do virtual training and develop virtual tours. And so we implemented an 8-week product development, and sort of the same format. We had 1 week of webinars, and then the following week was your one-on-one mentorship training. Everybody learned everything from there, what they needed, They were assisted in dry runs. So we tested them out within our own little group of who was training. Everybody did their presentation. We gave feedback on the dry run. And then we did the application to Airbnb. There were many platforms to choose from. Airbnb was one that worked best for us. So they have their Airbnb virtual tours. Everybody was assisted with setting themselves up onto there. And then we as Akwesasne Travel went back into Airbnb and purchased purchased a few sessions with each supplier to get them tested again, so that they were able to kind of get their feet wet and have a little bit of comfort knowing that it was people we had invited and vetted and got some more feedback for them through the Airbnb runs. So that was our virtual training, and I loved it. I think we definitely are planning on doing virtual training as well as in-person training again for those that are interested. I felt the virtual training gave them some practice to their in-person tours. We had feedback from suppliers saying they hated the virtual tours, they loved the in-person. We've had vice versa. So it was great to be able to offer both of those things. And in the future, I know we definitely have people who want to just do one or the other or both in some cases, like we have for our 3 in-person suppliers, offer both. And then we also had some people who are only here for the summer. They are in school for the winter, and they were able to continue participating in the virtual training, and it offers them, you know, extra income doing that. And again, it's all on your own time with the Airbnb tours. It's not like you have to commit to a tour every week. And I'll stop talking about that because Native North American Traveling College did both of the training, and they can talk to you on how that training went, what they've learned from it, and how it's working out for them.
All right, Sego everybody, thank you for joining and to listen to all the things that for the last, I guess, maybe 2 years now, since 2019. So we underwent the development, all the early stages of even just figuring out kind of information we're going to be handing out, or, you know, like what our lesson plans are going to be like. And so that really started the early conversations between May and I about how we're going to become hosts and guides and educators. And we were learning online teaching just as quickly as everybody was learning it in schools and the teachers. So we kind of jumped on it right along with everybody through the pandemic. How was it for you, May?
So Sego, my name's May. It's Lorna May. It's all good. Yeah, I think it was interesting because it did seem like I have experience giving tours in person, but I've never done anything like a virtual Airbnb. So that was really interesting, but I think it really helped us. Because right now our museum at the so it's been helping, like, I don't know, like keep us familiar with giving tours, because eventually when the exhibit opens, we'll be giving tours more regularly. So I think that was nice. But yeah, it's just so different doing the Airbnb and then the in-person tours, and the way we've developed them too feels like they're the same, but they're still so different from each other. And I kind of like that our tour is that it touches a lot, like on a lot of topics from our area, and it really gives a good like foundation for visitors when they come here.
So when people join our Airbnb, there's no issues with borders. We get people from all over the place: Scotland, Ireland, San Francisco, Ohio, like all over the place. And so there's no issues when it comes to borders, and we're able to have those conversations and those educational opportunities with people from all over, these stereotypes, really getting familiarized with the history and the location of our people. And it's, in a way, it is inviting to Akwesasne, because we also touch on all of our friends that we've developed these tours with. So even once they learn about Akwesasne, they can take Airbnb on food sovereignty or lacrosse stick making or basket making, which is all the things that we kind of touched on because it has to do with what you can find in Akwesasne. So working with Akwesasne Travel, they really helped us get all of those jitters out, all the bugs out, and making sure that we're comfortable with speaking to whoever it is that walks in our doors or joins on our Zoom calls. So we're really able to have that much more exposure and everywhere. So it's really helped with our online presence as well, because at first have these advertised all the time that, hey, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and you can do it from the comfort of your home. So this development really helped our nonprofit organization really take off all over again. So now we started creating things that would be sustainable for the next 50 years, no matter which cultural educators are here, but also the lesson plans, the overview and the briefing of our history and the things that we feel the general public should know. We were able to make it that much more accessible to wider, larger audiences and no border issues. So it was kind of nice. We were still able to give weekly presentations after not doing it for months. And so our tours took right off. And as soon as we got our nervous jitters out, it was like, okay, we got tour Monday. Like we were pulling in the people from it was exciting to see that we were getting emails about like, hey, you should take this tour, and it's our tour. Like so even Airbnb was promoting us to take our own tours because it became really popular pretty quickly. And so that was a lot of ways that it helped us get our in-person tour developed, even though we didn't have open doors yet. So the comfortability on Zoom really came from all the work that we've done with Akwesasne Travel, because we were able to talk to our other friends that are doing Zooms right alongside us. And like she mentioned earlier, we were giving each other feedback. We were really helping each other fix our own issues within Akwesasne. So before even launching, before anyone could see what was in Akwesasne, we were all helping each other make sure we looked. And so that's what I really enjoyed about it. It gave me a lot of confidence with speaking to anyone from anywhere, and also for getting our in-person tours developed too. They've helped us all along the way with what are we talking about, how much time is this going to take, are we really showing and lighting, and we made ourselves this product, but it's going to be sustainable for no matter who is in our positions, and for hopefully for a very long time, because this cultural center has been here for 50 years now, and since the pandemic hit has made us really think about how do we offer these things in a new virtual digital age.
We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. They have overcome it, but we'll see. Give them another second. Maybe we'll, oh, they jumped off. So Gail, we're going to move on to you and let you, and then if they jump back in, then we'll come back to them.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Gail.
There you go. I'm excited to participate in this webinar today along with my colleagues. We've had some great work opportunities over the past 5 years, and I'm excited to share with you some of those developments from the work that I've been doing in terms of building some of the cultural infrastructure and the trials and tribulations of trying to do that with no capital funding. So part of the work that I've been involved with is really taken the ideas that have been shared from the community since the early days of looking at cultural tourism as being a real solid economic development initiative that the community has embraced. So looking at the needs We certainly looked at what was existing. Currently, we do have a very active and continually developing our Akwesasne Cultural Center, which is our library and museum. But those spaces that they're in right now really need to be further developed because they were never really designed in the facilities that they're in to do to provide the kind of appropriate space for a museum. So we looked at the needs for a heritage center, which is what the community was seeking. So we've been developing that project for the past 4 or 5 years now. And I've been working with a really dedicated working group that we meet on a regular basis. And these are folks that represent our library, museum, archives, and they're really focused on building a facility that's going to meet their needs for now and in the future. As you can appreciate, the buildings that you do go after in terms of cultural infrastructure are ones that you're going to want to last for many years. They're a development with a lot of input, a lot of love, a lot of respect for the culture, and a lot of uniqueness in the sense of what kind of facility can you get that actually shows who we are and what we want to present to not only our own community, which is most important to us in many respects, but also to our visitors to the community. So it's been a really exciting development. You know, when we talk about our strategic action plan that Penny and Raeanne mentioned, it was a very aggressive plan that you wanted to do a lot of achievement in a short period of time. And I think one of the things we learned early on is community engagement was critical for any of the work that we're doing. We needed to get to the community to talk about the work that we plan to undertake. We want to engage them. We want their input and involvement, and to really showcase that the work that we're doing is going to always involve them in many ways. And we've done a lot of different creative activities that have done that community engagement, bringing them into understanding what an archive is. We've done a lot of different community engagement initiatives that really help the community be a part of what an archive is, and really looking at protecting your own historical and cultural history. So it's that has helped a lot in terms of embracing our working group as community members. They bring those comments and input forward into all the work that we do. Infrastructure is more than just a building. It really is, you know, for us and for me personally, building our heritage complex is really going to be to showcase, you know, who we are in Akwesasne as Mohawk people. So it's been a very interesting development. The other piece, of course, is building our art gallery. Artisans are very, very important in our community. Our art truly represents our culture, and we've been building upon that foundation for quite a while in the work that we're doing. Penny certainly explained it in great detail of the importance of our artists and artisans. So looking at developing the art gallery, we have a beautiful historic building in our community. It's a 93-year-old former hydroelectric power dam building. It's not a very big building. There's a little picture there, shows the east elevation of a rendering. And so the building's been sit vacant now. Our community decommissioned a dam back in 2015. And so the building is just sitting there idly. It needs a lot of attention, and we're really hoping that we can achieve that. Going back to my comment about infrastructure, one of the things is that we have a lot of great ideas. They're very difficult to find capital funding to do any of these at this time, and even developmental funding. One of the little nuances is that, you know, our grant provided great salary opportunities to bring Penny, Latoya, and myself on. And there were dedicated consulting dollars that really, really helped, but not a lot for the infrastructure. So we've had to do a lot in terms of finding other little grants, other opportunities that where we could hire consultants to help us with some of the feasibility and business plans that needed to be done, which really are a strong foundation for your operations, for your facilities. So we go after all kinds of little grants, big and small, and all of those really help to contribute towards engagement of people, helping to do architectural renderings, looking at what some of your capital costs will be, and looking at your operational costs, and really looking at sustainability as a key factor in everything that we do. We know that it's always going to be a challenge to find operational funding for a lot of our cultural facilities that we're developing, and to get proper staffing and to be able to to function at a high level that you want to function in. So here you'll see a little bit of the design of the proposed art gallery. It's just a conceptual rendering right now, and this here is a map that shows how we're going to develop our art gallery, as well as some of the art park space, which we're now calling Stunna Park, which in our language stands for peace. And we're trying to develop this along the St. Regis River, as you can see from this rendering. And we're developing the park spaces because we don't really have public park spaces in what I call our downtown Akwesasne core. And we have a beautiful river now that's it's coming back to life now that we've removed the power dam from this area. The fish are coming back. It's a beautiful site. Our community is really reclaiming it again. And so now we need to develop the park space to make it an area that we can be proud of. And again, to begin developing our downtown Akwesasne core and the waterfront development and really embrace what we have and the beauty that we have in our region. So again, it's been we've found little bits of pockets of funding to do this development, and we've hired a local landscaper, a local architect to really help us develop this where it makes the best sense for us. I think when you look at hiring your consultants and your advisors, you really need to have consultants that understand your goals, your objectives, appreciate your culture. Our local architect that we work with is actually a Mohawk person, and he's done some great work with us in really capturing what we want to present to our community as well as to the general public. Moving on, next slide, please. Oh, did we jump? Okay. One of the things that we did do as an interim measure while we've been developing the Heritage Complex is we wanted to help our Cultural Center Museum really become, as an interim measure, to enhance what we were able to offer and get it ready for the tours, as well as getting it ready for a better space for presenting our culture and our history and our artifacts and the beauty that we have in our cultural art. So we assisted the museum in actually getting some renovation funding and supporting them to enhance the space. It's the same square footage. We added some new handicap accessibility entryways. We've enhanced, working with them to enhance our displays, and they did a great job. It's amazing how this existing space for our museum has been transformed to really showcase and to facilitate tours. They even included virtual reality tours in there, and it's embracing our artisans and the work that they've done. We work with artisans to develop these, and it's just a wonderful space now that we can present our museum as we move towards the Heritage Complex. The nice image on the lower right there is a basket exhibit that was developed, which really showcased some of our black ash basket design and artistry. And it's really an amazing exhibit. We'll be taking that to our new center. Okay, next slide, please. So this is just a really quick snapshot of the Heritage Complex, Heritage Center. The site that it's going to be located is in kind of our downtown core of Akwesasne. The St. Regis Mohawk tribe has been generous in donating the land for this site. They gave us 12 acres to work with, which was amazing. And it's, I think that's one of the important takeaways, is that working on developing cultural infrastructure, you really have to appreciate the support that you do get from your tribal council. They've been really supportive of our initiatives, and recognizing that we have a high slope to climb in terms of getting the proper capital funding that we're going to need to actually implement these facilities. But they've been there supporting us, providing tribal resolutions, supporting us with some financial assistance, as well as providing the land. It's really, really important to work closely with tribal council. Again, the planning, it's involved all the dedicated people that will eventually be housed in this facility. And we've gone through many renderings of what this facility could look like, what kind of cultural concept should we include in it. We also wanted to have a representative of a well-designed, sustainable building. So there's been a lot of sustainability features included in here that are a very high level leads capacity in terms of water, solar, retention, parking lots, materials. I think we've paid close attention to that. And again, working with our Mohawk, our architect on this, that really helped with in terms of providing the cultural concepts that we need to include in here. Where do we build in the design features that are important to us and tell those stories? I think that was a really critical piece. We had a little blurb with a previous attempt to develop a building from another supplier architect, and it just didn't work. And that's the kind of things that, you know, I wish I would have paid more attention to that in the beginning. It was a little bit of a waste of our time and some money. But at the end of the day, when you find the right fit and you get the commitment that you need, it's really, really important. Because this building, just getting, you know, a group of people that are part of the working group, getting them to agree and getting them to design the space that suits their functions and how they interrelate with other departments within there. How does the flow work? The design, do we need to be, you know, very cognizant of lighting impacts and events that'll take place in the facility and outside the facility? So it was really, really important to do that. And then the work that we did in terms of developing the feasibility and business case studies, again, focusing in on sustainability. What kind of governance structure as well would work appropriately for our heritage facilities? What are the operational costs? What are the capital costs? and those type of important information that feeds your committee and helps you make good decisions going forward. Yeah, so the facility is really, really quite proud of it. This is a site view of it. Bird's eye view, I guess, looking down at the parking, looking at the shape of the building. You can see the solar panels and all of those elements in there. It was really important to our committee and to some of the community leadership to really embrace the natural land around the site. So there's a lot of opportunity in there in terms of providing art within the landscaping features. You know, we even have a sweetgrass roof there, and we have an amphitheater in the back, so we can accommodate a lot of outdoor events, cultural events as well. So our design features, of course, you know, as I mentioned, the importance of our artisans. So we've incorporated some basketry kind of designs. There'll be a lot of graphic opportunities that we'll have on our floors, on our walls, and a lot of the imagery that's important. So it's yeah, it's been a lot of fun developing, a lot of work. And, you know, so as I've mentioned, the biggest challenge that I have right now is really, as we move into, you know, finalizing these plans, is to get capital funding. And that'll be the trick. We've got some good cost estimates now. We're starting to develop our governance and operational components that'll help solidify the cultural facilities that we have in place. And it's it's been fun. It'll be fun going forward too. But we're, I think one of the things I should mention too is that the importance of partnerships and really the outreach that happens when you're developing different grants or having different opportunities, embracing different elements of the work that we're doing. There's a lot of support out there, and there's a lot of knowledge. And as you're going through and developing these elements, you're really promoting what you're trying to do. And I think there's a lot of respect out there from different federal agencies or state agencies that see your work effort, and they're there to support you when they can as well. So I know I've had some very good information shared with me that really helps our planning and the potential opportunities. So it keeps you optimistic that there's a lot of resources out there that we can tap. But again, it takes a lot of work to do that. So all of the things that we've done, it is a lot of work, but at the end of the day, when we do get these heritage facilities built in our community, I think we can all stand back and be quite proud of those.
Thank you,
I think
Gail.
that might be the end.
We're going to return to Lorna and Michaela. They're back on and get back to their slides.
So we're gonna keep our camera off for now, just so that we don't get kicked out of the Zoom again. Where did we leave off?
I believe we were
I think you guys
wrapping
are
up.
almost done. Yeah.
Yeah. In a way, a lot of the things that tourism and travel have helped us with is our online presence, our confidence in front of the camera and speaking, and really just our comfortability with giving presentations. Helped us develop our scripts and the points that we want to get across. And then as we even keep hosting our Airbnb tours for the virtual ones, we get so many different questions from our Q&A periods from each tour that it's helped us develop our presentation that much more to ensure that we're covering all those questions that they might not even know they have yet.
Yeah, I would just also add that since we launched these tours, we've been able to like partner and collaborate with people even like off reserve. So like with Cornwall Tourism and other people in that area, like they booked our tours and then they saw it and now they promote it on their websites, and like so there's this collaboration with people like just who are non-native, and that's been really interesting. Like kind of learning how to work with non-native organizations and helping them figure out like best practices for promoting our different things we have going on here. So that's been cool too.
Mm-hmm. But to wrap things up, yeah, I would definitely promote taking more tours or trying to develop more with other people and other local businesses with travel, just because of our quick turnaround time of how popular we got and how much it's really kind of saved our nonprofit organization here. And we've been able to develop so many new things, and it gave us a new avenue to still reach the masses and still get our existing programming out there. So yeah, thank you, Akwesasne Travel.
Start your video.
And if you want to just go to the next slide, Monica, Gail touched on a lot of our community engagement. And the first year it was really heavy in this because it was who wants to be involved. We wanted the community. I mean, when you throw that word cultural tourism in front of tourism, you have to be very careful. And we've hit, hiccups here and there, but the one thing is we try to vet everything to the proper organizations, as well as the community in general. And so when we first started, our biggest event here is our international powwow, which always happens in September. It hasn't happened in the past 3 years or 2 years due to COVID, but we would have a booth every year. And the first year we started our project called Guatalet Goa, and it is our big basket. So you'll see the small picture of a basket on the side there. It's what we call the world's largest fancy basket. but it's definitely Akwesasne's largest fancy basket. We were able to have, I believe, 26 or 28 different basket artists work on that basket. And so that brought in a lot of interest, a lot of people talking about what you're doing here, what's it for, excited about a project. And we completed that. It's traveling around our community right now to help showcase different places. We have it currently at our casino. Hopefully it'll be at the traveling college in the next year or two so that people can come visit it there. It's very unique in the story. We had a presentation within the community. And then the following year, we did our beaded garden. And so we had, I can't even remember the number of beaders we had participate in that, but it was quite a large number, from 7 years old to I think 83 years old. And what we asked them to do was to create a beaded flower, and they came and planted it in our garden. Very similar to traditional Mohawk beading on velvet, and some of it is raised beadwork, which is kind of unique a little bit to our area and our people. So that again was another project that had a huge amount of interest and got us out there to the community as to what we were doing, why we were doing this, and how we're doing it. Gail is currently still working on our third project, which involved art and artisans in general, sending in photos of some of their work, and she's going to be creating something that will, I think, live in our art park eventually. And so that project is underway. And that's, those were fun, great ways to get the community involved, to be able to speak to them while they were there weaving or beading about what we're doing, and seeing if they had any interest in being a part of it, to the extent that the ladies at the traveling college have had. And so, that's also a huge part of it. And we just wanted to make sure we showcase those projects since they were so much fun and so important at the beginning of all of this. And one thing I wanted to add, Gail brought it up, make sure they're a fit. We've had partnerships that started 4 years ago that did not start off on a good foot. Today, it's a complete turnaround in how we work with those places, how we're partnering with those places, and don't be afraid to be, kind of like, in this job what your community wants, and stick to those guns. If a consultant is not working out, they're not working out. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Find someone out there who will. We've developed great partnerships with different consultants, different organizations, that we've had to have those hard conversations with, or let them go from the work because it wasn't in the direction that we know our community wanted to go.
Thank you very much. We have some time now for question and answer period. If anyone has any questions, I do have one here. Whoops, I have two here. The first one is, what did Airbnb offer that was the decision to use that platform for your virtual tours?
When we did the supplier training on that, I think we presented possibly 2 or 3 different platforms. And with the virtual training, unlike the in-person training, so with the 3 in-person tours that we have, which includes the traveling college, it includes chill baskets, which is basket making, and traditional acrostics. With the in-person ones, we as Akwesasne Travel own and sell those tours. With the virtual tours, it's completely on the supplier. So the traveling college runs that tour. They sell that tour themselves. They put, what dates they're offering it. All of that is on the supplier. And so part of the decision with going with Airbnb was they made it the easiest for the supplier to be able to operate that platform. They gave them the Zoom that they need while it's on. A lot of it is taken care of within Airbnb. The rate was really good in terms of the percentage that Airbnb takes and how much the suppliers get. And there's just a lot more assistance on that. There was another platform we looked at. I think that was a little bit better for organizations. So if Akwesasne Travel was going to be selling it on behalf of them, it was a little better. It was quite a bit more expensive. So at this time, cost had a big thing to do with it, and how much of a return our suppliers get. And so that was a big part. The Traveling College had and they can speak a little bit more on it. They actually approached Airbnb as a not-for-profit organization. So they were able to get that status with Airbnb. And I think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you don't pay any fees to Airbnb now. I think as a nonprofit, you guys get your total.
Yeah, correct. Airbnb doesn't take out any percentage when it's nonprofit organizations. So we just had to prove that we are one and everything. And so we get the full price that we advertise.
Yeah.
We have another question. There was also a question, will the slide deck be available? We will have the video and the slide deck available after the fact, and we will email all the attendees to let you know when that's live. The next question is for Penny. The beaded garden is a great idea. I'd like to do something similar in Oneida, Wisconsin. We have revived Iroquois raised beadwork here. There are many beadwork artisans here who also do flat work and other forms of, that wasn't so much a question, but just a comment, other artisans who do flat work and other forms of beadwork. We also have a question. What are some of the challenges, if any, with community engagement?
Tons. Especially when you're a community that is divided by a border and governments, and there's tons of challenges, but and I know Raeanne's got some stuff to add to this, but definitely just making sure that you're reaching all the audiences. Social media is great. I mean, we have shifted now on our social media. We've taken Akwesasne Travel from more of a community based, which worked for us in the first few years. We used it to get attention of the community and get them to our offerings, to our workshops. But now we've shifted to trying to get the tourists here. So that's how our social media is aimed at now. But in the beginning, that reached a certain division. We have a local newspaper. We have a local radio station. We use those avenues. They reach a different a different group than the social media does. Mail outs. I mean, you've got to look, I guess, at what your community is mostly into. But with the suppliers, it's definitely been, I mean, Gail used webinars in the past few months, and that worked out. I think the webinars work out really good for getting their one-on-one attention.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I think
they love it.
like Penny had mentioned, you really have to mix the variety of, how you present your news or your announcements, whether it's through, we have a communications department at the tribe, so we're lucky to utilize them and reach all of their followers. They have one of the largest followings in Akwesasne through their social platforms, but in the local newspaper and radio, Facebook, direct emails. I mean, having those opportunity pre-COVID to have sit downs with various groups really works well face to face. Coffee and donuts and snacks go a long way, but we really had to be creative in how we gain attention and how we spread the message about our progress, and even with community input. So it's been difficult, but we try to explore all avenues.
There was a tangent to that, and did you have to provide an incentive for people to become engaged, or
I mean, we tested that a couple of times with just having a prize to get more, I guess, in response to surveys. But other than just sharing information and developing working groups with strategic partnerships, like Gail had mentioned, that's where she's really made, a lot of progress in that effort. So, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I could add, one of the areas, of course, in our heritage complex is not only our library museum, but our archives facility. We have a lot of historical documents, whether it be within your government organizations that may be sitting in a garage that aren't being properly protected for the future, or people have historical family documents. So what we did as a way to get to the community engaged in what an archive is we started focusing in on how do you protect your own family documents? How do you restore old family photos? So we started doing webinars, and then it became a summer series of webinars where we focused on different aspects of archiving or protecting your family documents and history, or a little bit of, as I mentioned, restoration work. How do you proceed with that? And again, we called upon some folks that we've met over the years to provide some technical assistance on our webinars, and they gladly did that. But the good thing about it is we got the community engaged, and we had to do sometimes some training on Zoom, to get some of our elders, dudas, how to utilize a Zoom. But anyway, it was extremely successful. And the folks came away with knowledge about what the archive is. Every opportunity I get to present, I talk about our heritage facilities, the importance of having these facilities, getting community engaged, and really having an ownership. They need to own these facilities. It has to be theirs. And the knowledge, the different pieces of information that we provide, people are very happy with that. Our first little webinar, we gave people a little document, how to protect your documents. So, archival books and archival papers and gloves and all those fun little things. Didn't cost a lot of money to do that, and we did it safely. But it was fun, and it continues to grow.
And with our suppliers, like the Traveling College was a part of the working group. So they've been a part of this since the beginning. It's another avenue for them they've always done tourism. It just kind of helped perfect it a little bit more, or give them sort of a better planned way of doing it. With the other two suppliers, they are both individual entrepreneurs. And so that one, I'm a little bit thankful for COVID in a way, because it helped us get some of those entrepreneurs. Originally, Carrie Hill, for example, with the basket making, we were kind of like, you're already doing this, and part of the incentive for her was she traveled all the time, all summer. She was gone all summer, presenting, doing different presentations, getting invited here and there, which was fun for her for the first little bit. But eventually she just wanted to spend more time at home and with her family. And so this gave her that opportunity to bring people now to her little workshop and be able to still be making that income while people are coming in. And the same thing with the lacrosse sticks is, they needed another avenue to keep their business open during COVID. And so this presented that to them. And as well, we as Akwesasne Travel, again, in line with our grant, it's creating Akwesasne jobs and businesses. So as we're doing all of this planning, Akwesasne Travel is not in it to make millions of dollars, to make a lot of money. We're operating as bare bones as we can so that the majority of the funds go to the supplier, back to the business. And we are taking on the responsibilities that we need to, that these one-person shows can't handle, like booking the tours, selling the tours, marketing the tours. We're taking a lot of that on for them so that they can just do what they do. And we phone them up and say, hey, are you available on November 1st? We got a group of 5 people wanting to come in at this time. And then, we show up with those people and they bill us at the end of it. And so we're trying to make it as simple as possible, so that they can be a part of it and have the other avenue. It's part of how you talk to them too. We're sitting here like, hey, while you're beating that pair of moccasins, you could have people watching you who are paying you while you're doing that job to sell those magazines. And so, you know, we kind of market it as that way, as sort of incentives is, and to be an entrepreneur and go through this training and take the time that we're requiring. I mean, we badger them quite a bit. We send them emails. If they don't answer within 24 hours, we're on Facebook, like, hey, we sent you an email. Can you answer it? And so, you know, we want them to really want to be a part of this and enjoy it. And also a big part of it is with COVID, people have started to look at, you know, having that time at home and that time with your family and doing the things you love and not having to do a 9-to-5 office job, and realizing, you know, maybe that's not what you want. And here's tourism giving you that opportunity to do the things you love and, you know, be able to make somewhat of a living off of it.
One person asked, can we have contact info for the speakers? So if you ladies wouldn't mind putting your info in the chat, if you're okay with that, and then we will also send that out in our follow-up as well. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah. And on my behalf, feel free to send me questions. Give a call if you want to discuss anything further. If you guys are planning on doing any of the type of plans or, you know, training, we're more than welcome to share that with people, how we did it, what we felt didn't work, what did work. You know, that was great information for us to have at the start. So it's great to be able to share that now. And sometimes some things work for some communities that don't work for other communities.
And then one question, Gail, I see you're typing an answer as well. I'm going to read it out. Hi, Gail. I love the layout of the Cultural Center. I'm a museums heritage specialist and would love to know a lot more about it all. My question is, when I saw the roof, I was curious if you'd explored doing a green roof garden alongside the solar panels.
Yeah, we've incorporated a lot of energy efficiency and LEEDs type initiatives into the building. We do have a whole bunch of elements incorporated not only into the building for high efficiency, but for water, wastewater. Even our parking lots have been designed in such a way as to be as efficient as possible and capture the rainwaters and all. So it's yeah, our architect again, who was from our community, he really listened when our community and our advisory committee members were saying we need to be very conscious of the environment and make this building as efficient as possible. So it's very big on our list, and that's and I think this is where we've achieved a pretty high level of efficiency and sustainability in the building. Plus, it's a museum and a library, so we have to be very conscious of the materials that you use and archives. So that's always way up there with our working group, to be very conscious of the materials you use. Yep, happy to answer any other questions people may have in email or whatever.
We have a few minutes left. There's one more question. What is a takeaway of getting started? And I think from all three of you, from addressing each of your program areas would be a great way to sum up, but we do have time. So if you'd like to add more questions, feel free. So what is a takeaway of getting started?
I just want to reiterate that this is a long-term strategic plan of both, I think, of St. Regis Mohawk Tribe and Mohawk Council of Akwesasne. So it really did start with a community identifying tourism as a positive economic driver, coupled with community development and visioning. So, I mean, it really derived from that, identifying that first, and then started rolling into all of these other strategic planning documents. And like I had mentioned, over a decade of work being done, community engagement and planning. Even the first couple of years of our A&A grant, I think we were still in that development process. And then it wasn't until the last couple of years where we're really in implementation mode. how do we put these plans to work and into motion? And as you can see, Gail has all of these architectural designs and, renderings now of a facility that was just, a vision just 5 years ago. And now we have a tourism industry, a baseline of where we can grow from here. And Penny continues to work on that even now with developing and establishing the DMMO. So, I mean, it really takes, a lot of years in our experience of how we came from there to where we are now. But it did start with engaging the community on what they wanted to see in terms of economic development.
My takeaway, don't be afraid to plan. It like I said, it seems like it's so far down the road and, like just this vision, but it's great to have that. It really is, because now that we're actually in the implementation stage, we can fall back on that, and we have the knowledge too to know what works and what doesn't work, and what in that plan 4 years ago is not going to fit into today. And so it's great to have that plan. It also helps a lot, and I think Gail can say this because she's the one who's applying for a lot of grants for us, and Raeanne as well is starting to go after grants for continuing this. When you have that plan ready to go, you're a step ahead. You're a step ahead when you put in that grant application and you can show, all of these, like we've looked at every different avenue, and yeah, like it really helps to have that. We always joke, we have this inside slogan, Akwesasne, it's complicated, just because of our location and our community, but also within the tourism team here, I think we've been through almost everything that you could go through, from employee turnover. We lost our director to cancer. We've had federal shutdowns. And when COVID came along, we were just like, all right, what's next? So we've had everything thrown at us, and having those plans to go back on and to just be able to pick right back up, and keep moving forward with it. We've got employees on maternity leave and things going on, and we're able to have somebody step in and read this document, and we're on page 48. So you're doing page 49. And so it's definitely, don't be afraid to plan, to make sure they're living documents. They don't have to be written in stone, but they'll have a direction for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess my last takeaway, not to be repetitive of everything else that Penny and Raeanne have said, is that teamwork is important. I think we all came into it with certain skill sets, certain knowledge. Certainly we know our community, which is really important. And I think we respect each other. And as we've worked through the plans, even though the initial strategy was off mark in a sense of what was expected to be accomplished in the 5 years, like right now, I should be in the building and training staff and being fully operational. Okay, where was the capital funding to do that? Duh. But yeah, so it's I think the teamwork and the recognition that this is a process. It's not going to be overnight, and we all know the goal, and we have great support from, like I mentioned, the tribe, our own economic development office, which has been phenomenal in its support for what we're trying to do. So yeah, I think that's big. I mean, team and knowing your community is really, really important. Yeah.
Thank you, Gail. We have one more comment. Your renderings for the Future Center are gorgeous. I wish you much success in finding funding and opening your doors soon. And then we have one last question. Did you have trained grant writers, or did you just have the employees of your existing organizations?
Well, I've done a lot of the grant writing. It was a real learning curve in the beginning, understanding how federal grants are, how state grants are. State's the worst. Yeah, it's a learning process, and every grant application is somewhat different. You have to really kind of focus and modify and not be afraid to go after the larger the larger grants. Don't always get those, but you get a lot of small ones that you just really be very creative and accomplishing it and trying to meet an objective. I've learned a lot in grant writing. You know, I think I can probably write anything now. My skin is, you know, 7 layers thick from being rejected. Well, I got some choice words for those rejections. But it's the successful ones that you really get happy for. I don't care if it's $1,000 or 25,000. You do whatever you can do with it, and you make do. So yeah.
And we did have a grant writer originally for the original A&A grant. So we did have assistance with getting that grant written. Again, a huge part of it was him sitting in the room with the Akwesasne Tourism Working Group, which was several different organizations that helped contribute to that and make sure the wording was right. You know, the plan was right for us. And so again, that application went in after 5 or 6 years already of planning and backing that application up with these different documents showing how ready we were to make the next step. And even then, when we did get the grant, it was hitting the ground running to get everything up and going.
Well, I'd like to extend a warm thank you to Akwesasne Travel and to the Native North American Traveling College for your participation today. It was really very helpful, very educational, and I thank you for that. This webinar is actually the first in a series of cultural tourism planning webinars we'll be releasing throughout fiscal year 2022. We're also going to be introducing a guide to go in tandem with those webinars. And in our follow-up email that we'll be sending later today, there'll be a link so that you can download the Akwesasne chapter from that guide, a preview link, and then sign up to receive the guide when it's ready, which will be released just in time for AITC. And you have the emails from everyone, but they will also be included on the follow-up as well. And so once again, thank you very much, and we'll see you all. And again, if you'd like to register for the conference, ayanta.org/AITC. Thank you, everyone.
Yawa, Ayanta.
Thank you.
Thank you.